Man, this iPad Pro. Now, Luke, have you ever owned a tablet in your life?
No.
Have you ever had any desire to own a tablet in your life?
Nope.
Okay, stop looking at the specs. Stop looking at the specs. Close your
Okay.
eyes and
Yes.
imagine this, okay? It's a 12.9-inch display, okay? So this is this is a big tablet, okay? It's big enough for like real man hands, all right? Okay. It's got a Type-C port on the bottom, but we already had that, okay? We already had that on the iPad Pro. But get this, the Type-C port is freaking Thunderbolt.
Okay, that's pretty sick.
Okay, so we got a Thunderbolt iPad. Okay, now let me tell you about the CPU, or rather the SoC. Apple, they went and they put the same M1 processor from their recent MacBook Pro and MacBook Air. They threw it in an iPad. And for all the jokes that we made about the new M1 MacBooks being basically iPads with keyboards and without touchscreens, the M1 processor...
That is a very good thing going in this direction.
It's a very good thing going in both directions. It was never meant to mean that iPad Pros were not fast. It was meant to mean that, okay, these devices are obviously converging here, and that has come to fruition. We have an M1 equipped iPad Pro. Now, here's the kicker, okay? Imagine this. In a mobile device, 1,000 nit backlit screen, 1,600 nits peak brightness with 2,500 local dimming zones. Okay, you can open your eyes now. You can open your eyes now.
Okay. I don't actually fully understand why they were closed.
They were closed so you could imagine better.
Okay. I appreciated the experience regardless.
So this iPad, which starts at...
Sounds
what's
awesome.
it start at? Like $900 or something like that? Can't remember the pricing. Doesn't matter. The point is, this iPad will be probably the fastest computing device in your household when it comes to single-threaded or even lightly threaded tasks. It will have the fastest connectivity in your household with a 40 gigabit per second connection that you could use for, it runs iPad OS. So I wouldn't necessarily expect that you're going to be hooking up like your audio interface to it anytime soon, but who knows what the future is going to hold? At least the capabilities there now. But you could definitely hook up something like a Pro Display XDR 6K external display with, a USB hub for all your peripherals. Use the thing as a freaking, iPad OS freaking desktop. And get this, it will probably be the best HDR content viewing experience in your household, in the range of $1,000. So yes, an iPad is an expensive device. For a tablet, which to me, the utility is...
Would you buy one?
Very limited. I mean, we're talking, like, what do you use a tablet for? Like, watching porn in bed? Like, no, I'm not.
It's the best device for that.
Well,
Linus.
it is.
Come on.
I'm not going to argue.
Actually, maybe not, because VR headsets exist. But
come on.
It's up there.
You're not going to have a VR headset in your... Oh, I guess they've got the standalone ones. Okay, that's fair enough.
I guarantee you people do.
I guarantee... Okay, you know what? I take your guarantee. I will see your guarantee and raise you 2 guarantees. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I just mean... Okay, yeah, VR headset. Okay, fine. But
it's up there, though. I will give it that, for sure.
Okay. It's the best device for watching Netflix on the couch while your SO is watching something else on the TV. And if you have the kind of disposable income that you can buy a device that is dedicated to that, then the iPad has got you covered. But with these changes, now it's so much more. Because, okay, you can't use the last gen Magic Keyboard, but if you add a Magic Keyboard, now all of a sudden it's a fold-out little laptop thing that also you can disconnect. It's basically a convertible, but with extra steps. And that display, 1,000 nits, full screen brightness, Luke, this is real HDR.
Yeah, why can't you use the previous keyboard?
I don't know, because
what's the possible limitation there?
Like,
that's so ridiculous.
I mean, it's like a little thicker. So like, I don't know, maybe there's a physical compatibility that could possibly have been overcome by the billions and billions of dollars that Apple spends on R&D.
Of course, yes.
That's possible.
That part just annoys me. But maybe it is like, maybe there's some shape issues or something. I don't know. But
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been hands-on with it yet, but okay.
Mhm.
So now that we've talked through that this thing is barely even an iPad anymore, could you possibly be compelled to use it?
To use it,
Yes.
sure.
Okay.
To pay almost anything for it, no.
Almost anything. Okay. $100.
Probably
Oh,
not.
are you serious?
Well, if I could flip it,
$100.
guaranteed.
That's not what I'm asking.
I
That's
wouldn't
not
use it. So like it's not the fact that it's a really good deal doesn't matter because
okay.
I don't think I would ever use
What
it. So
about
there's
for
no
gaming? You don't have a single other iOS device in your... Hold on. You bear with me now, sir.
Okay.
Okay. You
For
don't
that
have
game that you want to play?
you don't have a single other iOS device in your house. So why not for gaming? Like you could play compelling exclusives like Fantasian, and I don't know if they have any other ones.
I feel like pulling out a Viva La Dirt League and just like keyboard slamming someone over the head and be like, "No one games on Max." Like I don't know. I don't have no idea like what like no, I'm good. I have plenty of devices in this house that I can play games on.
Es-
And what a terrible buying a tablet for gaming
no, but it
that
has
costs
Thunderbolt. It
$1,000,
has Thunderbolt, so you can connect it to anything.
but you're still running iPad OS.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah, but what? That
yeah,
sounds horrible.
okay, hold on. When's the last time you used iPad OS?
It's been a long time.
Okay.
Didn't you have an iPad like quite a while ago at your house or something?
I still have an iPad 2 at my house.
Yeah, that was probably it. That iPad was probably
Okay.
the last
So
one that I used.
iPad OS has changed a lot. It does support keyboard and mouse properly.
For what? What do you play on it?
No. I don't mean from like a gaming standpoint even. I just mean you can just
Okay,
like use a
okay.
keyboard and mouse on it. So if you were just word processing, doing whatever, there you could use it for I believe the update came. Oh shoot, who are those guys that we worked with that have a it's not Parsec, but it's another kind of similar thing. But I'm pretty sure Parsec probably has it working, so you could stream games to your iPad if you're just like on the couch or whatever. So you could
You do
use
that
it.
to a laptop.
Yeah, you could do that to a laptop. Yes,
which I have.
which you have already, but your laptop doesn't have an HDR display on it with 1600 nit peak brightness. Okay, so you couldn't
Okay.
HDR game. Not that any of those game streaming services support HDR yet, anyway. But at
No.
some point they might. Escapement Dog says an iPad.
But I mean, as Marquez tweeted on Twitter, you don't buy things with for software promises down the line. So I would not get it for that reason.
Escapement Dog says an iPad is great for reading digital magazines.
No, don't care.
I'm sorry, Escapement Dog.
That was not going to work.
You're a Floatplane subscriber, and so I'm not going to be too rude to you because thank you very much. But are you for real? What magazines? What do people read magazines? What generation are you in? But seriously, thank you very much for being
Yes, appreciate it. Thanks for supporting.
Okay. Sky Scan R says I have an iPad mini for my drone. That is a great application for the mini. We're not talking about the mini, but hey, cool, that's great.
Sure. And you don't need any of the features or to spend anywhere near as much. Again, though, if it's at that $100 discounted price and I cared, sure.
Okay.
But I still don't care.
J2VL says Rainway. Rainway was the one I'm talking about, where you could keyboard and mouse game on an iPad streaming from your gaming PC. Apocalyptic on 3 says Linus puts way more value in HDR than I think the average person does. The average person doesn't put a lot of value in HDR because the average person hasn't experienced HDR properly. HDR is a big difference maker. I mean, Luke, now that you have an HDR TV, would you go back?
Well, I mean, I would, but it's a fantastic feature and I like it a lot. It's very noticeable when you're playing HDR content.
Piece
on this.
I just can't even.
It is very nice, and you can really tell when you're watching content on the TV that does have HDR.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you got Floatplane to make it so that HDR content could be played through the website? Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you remember when it was super urgent because you guys were going to totally pivot to everything being filmed and uploaded an HDR? Do you remember that?
Well, I
Do
remember
you
a
remember that
thing
you
like
guys
this
only uploaded one video in that format, and it took like a lot of work
I remember
to
a thing like
prepare
this
that system?
happening. I remember a thing like this happening. I can't say that I remember when it happened because my memory doesn't go back that far.
It was quite a while ago. Do you know we're still supporting that?
Yes. So, okay, in fairness, we are working on it. Ed
Oh, so
says,
okay, that was actually a somewhat genuine question because I
yes,
needed to know because we were wondering if because we're doing some upgrades
just
and we needed to know
deprecate
if we
it.
were bringing. Yeah, so I
Yes,
mean,
we're bringing it along for the ride. Ed
okay,
is
okay,
still working on the workflow for that. So ultimately, it's funny, but what it comes down to is that Floatplane is not getting HDR because Adobe and YouTube still haven't gotten together and figured out how to have Premiere output all the metadata in a format that YouTube can natively understand and accept.
got it. Okay,
So
yeah.
that is why.
Sounds good. Yeah, that, my friends, is how you pivot WAN show into a Floatplane work meeting. Okay, great. Sorry. Do you have any more use cases for the iPod?
Landshark says,
iPad?
I read The Economist. Also, reading books is nice on a tablet. I can't get into it. I can't get into it. For me, the Galaxy Fold was kind of a game changer for me because it was something that I had on me all the time. Like I actually read more when I was daily driving a Fold. Speaking of which, and also Floatplane related, is Jaden ever going to send back my Fold Z2?
No. Yes.
Z
He will.
Fold 2 or whatever they call the stupid
I
thing.
thought he sent that out already. I'm gonna send
Okay,
a message
cool.
right
Yeah,
now.
if I can get that back, that would be great. Thanks. So that was a game changer for me, but I would never go get a tablet for that. If I'm gonna go get a device, like I have to actually get up off my hiney, I don't have it on me already, I gotta go get one, I'm gonna go get a Kindle or something with an e-ink display because
I was
it's,
gonna say right when you said I would way rather have an e-ink display. By the way, I
yeah,
saw a really cool project not that long ago. I should have thrown this in the doc actually, but
yeah.
I think it was a few weeks back. I saw a really cool project where someone made a very large, like almost, I think it was like a monitor-sized e-ink. Just he didn't make this. He developed on top of it, but he bought this very large, like monitor-sized e-ink display, vertical mounted on the wall, and then had it grab random newspapers from his area and display them, and it looked like super cool. And I thought there'd be some other cool things just in case you don't read newspapers that you could do with it. E-ink displays are freaking awesome.
Yeah, they're super cool.
And it's kind of unfortunate that tech hasn't really been going further than e-readers.
This is great. This is from Rod from BS Mods. Give Luke $100. What would he be more likely to buy? An iPad Pro or a tube TV for retro games?
Ooh, yeah, tube TV for retro games. It depends if it's good though.
You get a killer deal. You find a good one.
Yeah.
Because neither of those is happening at $100, if we're being realistic.
No.
Like crappy tube TVs, you can get them for free if you're willing to haul them away. But the good ones are actually starting to become, like,
really
honestly,
expensive.
If I had acquired them when they were worth nothing 5, 8, 10 years ago, and I just stored them in a warehouse till now, that's probably one of the best investments that I could have made. Like, those things are going for crazy amounts of money now.
Yeah. You know, the operative thing that Rod said, though, was give Luke $100 and he has to buy one of these two things because I wouldn't buy either of them with my own $100.
Yeah, I get it. Courageous Potato says it is an unmatched pencil experience besides a Wacom tablet. Yep, that's fair. If you are actually into sketching and whatnot, there is a lot you can do as an artist with an iPad. So you want to have like a mobile photography workstation. Absolutely. Crazy, amazing device. I'm super into it. I think it's a compelling value. Now let's talk about the M1 equipped iMacs that come in 6 different colors that happen to be the 6 colors of the original Apple logo, apparently. So, yeah, smaller bezels. Have you seen these? Have you seen this?
I
have.
Heard
about this?
Yes.
Okay, smaller bezels. Let's talk about the external power brick. This is the first, to my knowledge, this is the first Apple desktop machine to ever have an external power brick. Even the trash can, the tiny little trash can, had an internal power supply, did it not? Am I mistaken?
I thought it did. No, I thought it did. I can look it up, though, but I thought it did.
I'm pretty sure. Apparently, the G4 Cube. The G4 Cube.
Oh.
Okay, all right. So that's fair. Yep, there are some old ones. But, like, why? So there's a
It
couple.
it feels honestly, despite your evidence that you've pointed out, that very few have ever had an external power brick. For some reason, to me, it feels very Apple to do that. If they could make the design of the device itself like sleeker, I could totally. If for some reason it clicks in my brain that they would absolutely have an external power brick.
So then my next question is, why does it need a magnetic cable on a desktop? We're not talking something that you've got at, you know, in the Starbucks or whatever, and someone might trip over it. Because to me, that was one of the big selling points of MagSafe. It wasn't that I'm too much of a smooth brain chimp to plug in a barrel connector. It was just that if someone else is too much of a smooth brain chimp to foot flick when they accidentally hit my cable, and you know, the foot flick. Luke's the one who coined the name for it, but where your foot like hits the cable and you flick up so that you don't actually, you know, drag whatever it is off the table. So if someone is dumb enough that they drag my laptop off the table, to me, that was like a killer feature. That could save you $2,000, like the first time you go and use it. On a desktop, OP1 says literally all MacBooks have external power bricks. Yes, but we said desktop Macs. Like, help me out here.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so one counter that I would bring up with is why not? I mean, they're charging a lot for it, so you might as well get some like cool neato features. And like maybe you're cleaning under your desk and you like yoink the cable. It's probably very light and thus very easily accidentally manipulated.
Yeah.
So I'd rather like I'm sure it weighs more than just my non-computer monitor that's in front, or it probably weighs. Sorry, I'm sure it weighs less than my non-computer monitor that's in front of me.
Yeah, it's really
so
thin.
if you yank on the cable, I wouldn't want that really expensive device to just whack into the wall.
I guess there's also a thinness factor. Where are you going to put it? Like I've seen external displays that are that thin, but you plug in from the side, and there's no way that was going to fly with Apple. Still, I mean, there's 100 other ways that you could connect something. It doesn't have to be magnetic. You could have it go on and like kind of screw onto a thing, or like you could rotate it,
I mean,
whatever. There's 1,000 different ways to connect a thing to a thing.
Wasn't it Xbox or Microsoft that started the like breakaway controller design? I always thought that was really smart.
I think, oh yeah, with the Xbox. I mean, I'm sure that they didn't invent it, but yeah, that's probably one of the more famous mainstream implementations of a breakaway cable.
Yeah.
So they could have done something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it because why not? I when I heard that it had that feature, I was like, oh, okay. Like it's cool. It's not gonna sell the device for me, but
now let's talk about the bigger problem, okay? A lot of people are upset about the chin bar. I get it. People are upset about the chin bar because what modern monitor has a chin bar? Why? And okay, yeah, that's a good point. It's a thing to be upset about because it's so unnecessary. In the interest of making it as thin as possible from the side where you will quite literally never see it, Apple went and put a big, ugly chin in front of you where you will see it all day, every day. And all for what? To save you like this much space on your desk. Like that's a funny thing. When we went from CRTs to flat screen displays, flat panel displays, because a flat screen display is a CRT with a flat piece of glass in the front. That is an important distinction. So when we went from CRTs to flat panel displays, all of a sudden there was a significant like desk savings. You know, your setup was so much cleaner all of a sudden. And motion on your screen was smeary and horrible, but boy, did you ever get a cleaner desk setup. Here, I don't see the difference between this and this. And I feel like Apple is kind of coming at this trend really late. Like for years and years, TV manufacturers kept chasing thinner and thinner. Oh, we made it a millimeter thinner. We made it a millimeter thinner. LG went as far as to make a wallpaper TV. And then, I don't know if you guys noticed, but that whole thing has kind of gone away. Like there are thin TVs, but nobody's talking about it anymore. It's not like when you go to CES, they're like, it's 30% thinner because they figured out that beyond a certain point, I'd say beyond like
just doesn't really matter
an
anymore.
Inch thick, nobody cares because it does not make an appreciable difference to how you enjoy the product. So I can see why people are upset about that element of the chin bar because they could have just made it thicker. They could have hucked everything on the back of it. Honestly, the one that I'm way more upset about is the lack of Ethernet. It doesn't have Ethernet on board.
That's actually super bonkers. Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
how mind-blowing is that to you? And like, it's not like I don't talk to people where I go, hey, your connection's kind of bad. Are you on Wi-Fi? And they'll say, yeah, I'm on Wi-Fi. And I'll say, can you go get a wire? Because even the best Wi-Fi is not as good as the worst. Okay, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, but yeah, there is some really good wireless solutions, but like I'd also say like it's just kind of weird because so many, like you're talking about calls, right? And especially in the
Yeah.
current pandemic state, so many calls are happening from home devices, and these M1 Max look like home devices. So to not have that wire connection in, whether it's video calls, normal calls, or streaming, because as much as a lot of streaming started with just games, there's tons of artist streamers and
Yeah.
like non-gaming streamers out there now. So to have that limitation just feels super weird. There's a way to get like a dock or something that comes with it, right?
It comes with the higher end one. So the power brick actually has an Ethernet jack in it, which is kind of an ingenious solution to not having to plug yet another wire into the back of the machine. But it bothers me a lot that people are going to buy the lower end model, not have an Ethernet jack at all, and then their nephew or grandson or whatever, are going to go over to their house. They're going to complain that the internet doesn't work or their phone calls are bad or whatever. And then I'm going to have to go buy like a USB Ethernet dongle to hang off the back because it's going to be so much cheaper than buying a replacement power brick.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's just really frustrating because I know for a fact that the cost of like an Ethernet controller is literally like between $1 and $2. It's actually negligible in the context of, a $700, $800, $900, $1,000 product. So can we not save that dollar? Can we just provide it with everyone? Not everything has to be wireless. And in fact, the fewer items that are wireless in your house or in your office, the better those wireless things will perform. So if you plug in every single desktop, your laptops and phones and tablets are all going to deliver a better user experience. So
kind of whack. I'm interested. I've been trying to look it up, but this power connector that includes Ethernet, I wonder how they're doing that. I found a picture that shows the wall side where there's like the Ethernet jack and the power to the wall, but I can't see anything on the other end. It's just a single cable that does power and Ethernet?
I would guess that it's just some kind of USB power delivery that they're using for the device itself. So then it's no surprise that it would have data channels in it as well. That would be my guess.
Got it. That makes sense.
I'm guessing right now, though, I haven't seen the actual connector, so you'd have to have a look at it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Anyway, you know what? I think, honestly, it's white bezels and chin bar aside, I think people are going to get used to that. It's going to be like the notch where it starts out where people are angry and then it becomes iconic or something. And these things are going to sell like absolute hotcakes because what Apple has managed to do with the M1, and we talked about this in our MacBook Air and in our MacBook, or do they call it the Air? I can't remember if it's Air or Pro, or Air or non anything, just MacBook. But in the MacBook Pro that also has the M1 processor, we talked about this in our reviews. What Apple has managed to do with the M1 processor is nothing short of amazing. They have delivered better performance at a lower price. I mean, that's something that Apple hasn't seemed to care at all about in a very long time. It's always been, yeah, better performance, but hey, it comes at a higher price. Like if you look at the introductory prices of basically every iPhone, it always goes up, right? Like the original iPhone.
Yeah, for sure.
What was the MSRP of that thing?
Let me look it up.
It's like $400 or $500 for the cheapest one. They have literally doubled in price since 2007. My problem with the M1 is that if Apple doesn't kind of surprise me here, or not with the M1, yeah, there's nothing they can do to surprise me. But my problem with Apple Silicon, with their M series processors, is that there's absolutely nothing that you can do to upgrade or change it after the fact. And do you remember when Apple was cool and they allowed you to use your iMac as an external display for another computer? Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
that was awesome, actually. And these, I think I know the direction you're going in. These would look kind of cool as displays.
Sure. And whether they look cool or not, just keeping it out of the landfill once the computer is too slow, having it have any purpose whatsoever beyond just being your computer. I mean, honestly, just that, this is a totally shallow thing, but even just having the ability to have 2 matching monitors on your desk today, if you just buy 2 of them and use one of them as a monitor, whatever your reason for it is, that was a really cool feature, and I will be really disappointed if it doesn't turn out to be a hidden feature of this one, because as it is, if anything goes wrong with this thing, it is basically headed to the wood chipper. And yeah, you can recycle certain elements of it, but recycling is not the best solution. Extending the life of it past just its initial usefulness as an all-in-one computer is by far a better solution than recycling it. So I hope that turns out to be a thing, but honestly, I don't have a lot of hope for it. Maybe someone who knows something that I don't can let me know in the float plane chat. CJ Strong says, if it weren't for the silicon shortage, do you think the iMac would have a new M2 processor? No, there's no way. I mean, with the lead time on a project like this, this product has been in development since at least like 24 months ago. Don't kid yourself. So we didn't even know there was going to be a silicon shortage by the time they were sitting down to work on the 24 or 23 point whatever inch iMac. And honestly, Apple so far hasn't really been meaningfully impacted by the silicon shortage because Apple does just an outstanding job of managing their supply chain. I mean, at the end of the day, you can think Apple is a luxury brand, or you can think they're a consumer electronics brand, or a technology brand, or a services brand. You know, got your Apple TV and all that kind of stuff. Their iCloud. What Apple is, first and foremost, is a supply chain company, because they do it like pretty much nobody does it. I mean, when's the last time you wanted to buy an Apple something and you couldn't do it? Maybe for the first couple of weeks after the launch of a really hot product. Like, I think the AirPods were kind of hard to get your hands on for the first couple of weeks.
But they recover, like you were kind of saying, they recover a lot faster than a lot of other companies do too. Like the Switch or the Wii. And like Nintendo theoretically must have a pretty good setup.
A little bit of experience, you'd think.
Yeah, but like both the Nintendo Wii and the Nintendo Switch were both horrible, like almost impossible to buy for very extended periods of time. And then, I mean, the Switch had been out for a while, and then it was almost impossible to buy again for a very significant amount of time. What was the Wii Fit was practically impossible to buy for like 6 or 7 months in the pandemic.
100%.
Like, wow.
Let's blow through the Apple TV 4K refresh. It's got the A12 Bionic chip. It's got 4K 60 HDR playback. This is really cool. This is a really neat feature. So with the Apple TV 4K, you can actually use your iPhone, point it at your screen, and it will automatically calibrate its output based on the idiosyncrasies of your TV with the camera of your iPhone. That's pretty cool, right? That's actually kind of sick. Yeah. Unfortunately, because Apple is Apple and didn't, think to have it actually interface with the menu of your TV, it won't work for any other devices that are hooked up to your TV, but it will work with your Apple TV. So at least that'll be color accurate. So that's cool. It's better than nothing for when you play Fantasian, which I still haven't played because I kind of want to play it on a different platform. So I'm playing Bravely Default 2 instead now. Comes with a new aluminum remote. Unfortunately, doesn't contain the U1 chip so that you can find it like AirTags, which is unfortunate. That seems like a missed opportunity. Yeah. And the remote won't work with some games if anyone cares about that. Also, there's a purple iPhone.